Hey, it's another week, another recipe, and today we are making 1940s economical pot roast, which is also supposed to be dinner tonight. Come on in and let's see how it goes. Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name's Courtney Morris and I cook history's forgotten recipes out of random cookbooks I find and sometimes websites. And today we've got, hopefully, a good dinner idea. I'm hoping, because it's supposed to be dinner. I'm kind of banking on it, otherwise it's going to be pizza. Anyways, if you're new here, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy the experiment, and if you're coming back for more, thank you so much for your support, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Okay, so for today's recipe, we are headed back to early World War II, 1941, with a recipe from the National Livestock and Meat Board with a pamphlet called Victory Meat Extenders. Now, there was a big push from the American government with, victory gardens and trying to make do with less of what you normally would have. And meat was one of those things that has always been kind of expensive, and holy moly, even now today, just going to the grocery store the other day, it just burned a big hole in my wallet. This is not going to be a big fancy new thing. It's a pot roast with tomato gravy. There's interesting items in here like vinegar and tomatoes that I haven't ever made pot roast with, but I wanted to give it a shot. The entire pamphlet also has menu ideas, it tells you what to serve with it, which I thought was kind of cool that they did that. But as I was looking at this, it calls for 4 to 5 pounds of pot roast, which I normally will cook for my family of 4 plus a 3-year-old who eats this much. And I'm thinking, that's not really saving meat. I mean, we go through a pot roast pretty darn quick. Sometimes there's leftovers for the next day, but I looked at the serving size on this and they want a 4-pound pot roast to serve 12 people. I was gonna do that with my hands, but I do not have 12 fingers to do it on my hands. But I mean, so everybody does get this amount of meat. They're not lying. They will put meat on your plate. You just don't get a lot of it. But I wanted to try this out because I do need dinner idea. I have a roast I need to use, and why not? Let's give it a shot and see how good the National Livestock and Meat Board's pamphlet was, because if you've seen any other videos I've done of these propaganda pamphlets, sometimes they're just not great. But you can't go wrong with a pot roast, right? All right, so the first thing we do is brown our roast on both sides with 4 tablespoons of lard. Lard is one of my favorite things to cook with as far as a fat goes because it gives such good flavor. All right, so this is a 4-pound roast. And we're just gonna stick it in and let it do its thing. All right, so we've got this nicely browned. I don't know if you can see that well, but that adds a lot of flavor if you can brown your meat first. It's so good. Next we need to add a clove of garlic, ½ teaspoon of thyme, and a ½ cup of vinegar, and a ½ cup of water. Clove of garlic, ½ teaspoon thyme. And I don't know, it doesn't specify white vinegar versus apple cider, but I'm just gonna use apple cider because that's what I've got at the moment. Man, it smells like Easter in here. Okay. Nothing like hot vinegar fumes, and put some water in it. So that's it for now. Now we need to simmer it for 2 hours, and then we add our tomatoes and then make our tomato sauce gravy out of this. Like I said, this is kind of a standard dinner. I mean, there's nothing really weird about it. I don't know what on earth the vinegar is supposed to do. Maybe it softens it up, but I don't know how you'd feed 12 people with this. But maybe that's why they gave you the full menu, so you could feed 12 people with all the other stuff too. I forgot to mention you're supposed to cover it because otherwise you won't have any liquid left. And no, I don't have a matching lid. I am still 20 and have terrible pots and pans. I will become an adult one day and get a whole matching set. Okay, so after it has simmered for 2 hours, then we put in 2½ cups of canned tomatoes. I'm gonna say this smells really good so far. It's a smell of pot roast that I've never had before. All right, it is done. It looks really good and it smells fantastic. This smells more like beef stew than it does a pot roast because I don't ever do tomato bases with my pot roasts. So let alone the vinegar. I do smell a vinegar smell, but it's not bad. It's really not bad. I boiled the vegetables. I did add potatoes. They didn't say potatoes, but you know. I've got family to feed, so we need some filler. It does say to serve with rye bread and a cherry tart, both of which I don't have. So I'm making rolls right now. It'll do, whatever. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that just falls apart just like it should. That's fantastic. Like, look at that. I don't know if you can see that real well, but it just strings apart perfectly. The meat itself is very tender, very good. This was a top round roast. It's perfect for pot roast. The flavor is stew meat. It's definitely that tomatoey stew meat. All right, I'm gonna try a piece of the tomato gravy and see how that goes. The tomato gravy doesn't look very nice, but you can get over the looks. That tastes to me like what the 50s and the 40s would have tasted like, I guess, bar the Jell-O with crap in it. It's not bad. I think I prefer a regular broth gravy to the tomato version. I think I'm going to have to make a brown gravy for certain people of my household who probably are not going to like that. For me, I think it's all right. It does have a strong vinegar tang. It doesn't taste like vinegar. It's just got that sourness to it. It does have that tomato flavor with it. It probably could use some sugar and just kind of take the edge off it, but really it's not bad. I mean, you can screw up pot roast, don't get me wrong, but this recipe's not bad. Now, here's my issue. If you can see this amount of meat, it did shrink, you know, it was about this size beforehand. This says this serves 12. I mean, if you were to cut 12 slices here, you're getting not much meat, but you know, I guess back then meat wasn't going to be the star of the show because you couldn't really get it for cheap or a lot of it. So, you know, we're probably going to go through most of this tonight, if not all, but thankfully we don't have to ration at the moment. I'd do it again, even with the tomato gravy. I actually do like that. I might tweak it just a little bit, but I like that base. And I am super happy that a propaganda pamphlet recipe actually turned out well, because if you've seen any of the others that I've done so far, they've been crap. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the experiment, and I hope it spurred you on to make some 1940s pot roast. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell notification too if you want to be notified every time I upload a video. I do that every Monday for you with a new historical recipe, and sometimes they are fantastic and sometimes they are absolute crap. But they're fun nonetheless, and I absolutely love it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a little thumbs up on the like button. I think it helps the algorithm reach more of a bigger audience, and I would love to grow this channel and this community. It's been so fun talking with you guys. If you need something else to watch after this, check this video out. It's my spam printer video, which absolutely was just awful, but it was a fun experiment nonetheless. Anyways, I will see you next Monday. Leave me a comment, leave me a recipe, and I will see you with a new recipe